Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Haiti crisis atop agenda for Prime Minister Andrew Holness and United Nations Secretary General's discussions. Calls for greater awareness of local opportunities to stem Jamaicans risking illegal migration. And later in sports, defending JPL champions play first leg of quarterfinals today. Thank you for joining us. I'm Shane Masters and here are the details. The worsening instability in Haiti is among the top agenda issues being discussed by Prime Minister Andrew Holness and United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres, who is on a two-day working visit to Jamaica. Also among the issues being looked at is the effects of the climate crisis in the Caribbean and the upcoming midterm review of the global framework for disaster risk reduction. Now, a press conference is slated to get underway shortly from the office of the Prime Minister, and we are standing by for that. An appeal this afternoon for the government to highlight the available options for individuals' economic improvement in Jamaica. Now it comes as more Jamaicans are leaving the country seeking greener pastures, whether legally or illegally. The details in this report. They rather the risks of illegally migrating over enduring the economic challenges of living in Jamaica. That's the view of attorney at law Nicole Gordon to Jamaicans who have sought to migrate to the United States illegally. Speaking on Radio Jamaica's That's a Wrap on Sunday, she explained that while there may be options within Jamaica to overcome economic challenges, they are not always viewed as easily accessible.
There are too many of our people who are in fact suffering. They don't think they're suffering, they are suffering. And when it is that they have to deal with the pay that they have to get, or they have to go to the supermarket and they can't manage, or they have children to feed, especially post-COVID, and they can't manage, what for me is most heart-wrenching and gut-wrenching is that they are willing to brave all of that and say to themselves, I will deal with this for a little while, and then I will try to get home.
A view which Clive Monroe Jr. agrees with. He's adamant that the government and the private sector together must work to highlight the available options for economic improvement in the country. He says while there are frequent reports of Jamaicans leaving the island in search of better opportunities, there are also examples of people from other countries who move to Jamaica to access economic opportunities. Mr. Monroe argues that if foreigners are seeing the economic possibilities which exist in the island, then the issue may not be a lack of opportunities, but rather the need for them to be better highlighted.
We also need to figure out a way to have our citizens realize that there is something here for them. Mm-hmm. Maybe not in where you live in this particular spot in Jamaica, but there's something here. And I know this because for everyone that leaves, somebody from another country comes here. So why are they coming here? We have to find a way to disenfranchise this notion in our citizens that the foreign triumvirate, Canada, UK, US, that there's something magical about these places. Yes, they might have better economic prospects to a degree, but they have all the same problems that we have. So if we don't know these things, then you can't make the proper determinations as to what is best for you and your family.
The National Solid Waste Management Authority, NSWMA, is urging residents to pay close attention to how their garbage is being disposed of. The entity says this will help prevent fires at the island's landfills. The details in this report from Karen Simpson.
Less than a week ago, fire broke out at the Riverton City landfill, affecting visibility in areas in and around the facility. Executive Director for the National Solid Waste Management Authority, NSWMA, Audley Gordon, says the blaze was put out in a matter of hours. He, however, revealed that the fire started after being taken to the landfill in a garbage truck.
This one started on our tipping phase. That's where we are tipping the raw garbage. And the tipping phase is that area of the disposal site where trucks are currently tipping garbage. When you take it out of the community, you carry it in. That's where we have areas where you tip, and then after you tip, we spread, we compact, and then when we compact, then we cover with topsoil. So that area where the raw garbage was where this fire started.
He explained that fires at the Riverton City landfill are commonly started this way.
Let us say you're burning a tire, for example,
Yeah.
You probably just think, okay, now, I'm going to out it, you throw water on it. You don't see any flame. It doesn't mean that the thing is fully out. But then the truck comes, you put everything on the truck.
He says residents need to get back to separating their garbage to prevent these recurring fires. And Mr. Gordon says despite the many reports of fires at the Riverton landfill, it is not a problem facility.
Riverton is probably the best behaved disposal site right now. For years, we have not had, in the last 4 years, this is probably the first that we have had a fire that make the news at Riverton.
Less than a year ago, Prime Minister Andrew Holness announced that there are plans to close the landfill as it is notorious for mystery fires and persistent health concerns. Mr. Gordon says the Prime Minister made the announcement based on the history of the facility.
We don't have those issues again, where you have school being closed and the whole community in uproar and so on. We don't have those again.
In the meantime, Mr. Gordon says steps have been put in place to contain fires in a timely manner. Carrie Simpson for TVJ News.
And it's time for a break here on the Midday News, but please stay with us. More stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. The poor state of the island's lockups is again being highlighted as an issue for workers and inmates. The Police Federation says it is putting its concern to the Police High Command. Details in this report.
Unsanitary and dilapidated. That's how Police Federation has described a number of the island's lockups, which it says is a cause for concern. Chairman of the Federation, Corporal Rohan James, says he has written to Police Commissioner Major General Anthony Anderson about the situation. However, he is still awaiting a response. Corporal James believes the conditions are not conducive neither for those who have been detained nor for his colleagues who have to operate in the space. He noted that some of the structures are so poor that it is easy for those who are in lockups to break free. Hence, he says the situation needs to be remedied immediately. The Federation chairman is therefore suggesting that detainees in overcrowded, dilapidated lockups be relocated to prisons.
It is also important for the government to expedite those facilities, that the building of those facilities in the respective areas as was proposed to relieve the police of these obligations. Whereas you would have centralized detention centers that would enable effective management and control and alleviate the contrabands being taken into these facilities and escapes taking place. We continue to beseech the High Command and the powers that be for these conditions to be remedied and for the issue of health and safety and security to be taken in a holistic manner.
Corporal James is also strongly against police officers guarding lockups. He believes that it is the remit of the Department of Correctional Services. He says once a perpetrator goes before the court and is remanded by a judge, they should be sent to a correctional facility and not the lockup.
The Horizon Remand Center is perfectly in order and can facilitate those remandees as well as the Tamarind Farm facilities. Those facilities were repaired, and to the best of my knowledge, they are ready to house these remandees. It's a matter that the logistics needs to be worked out. I believe the Minister of National Security and the Commissioner just needs to do what is necessary so that in the interest of national security, these prisoners won't be compromised.
Sandy Williams, TVJ News.
Questions continue to be asked about aspects of Jamaica's education system that result in high failure rates for students. Local Government Minister Desmond McKenzie says he too is concerned about the number of failing high schools in the country. Mr. McKenzie was speaking at a function in Trelawney recently when he made the comments.
And as a member of Parliament who has what is considered an inner city constituency, I am concerned because when you get a child leaving primary school, entering high school, and can't read, can't spell, can't add one and one together, and you are putting them in a high school.
Mr. McKenzie says this is a long-standing issue that must be addressed.
And this is not happening since 2016. I remember when I was on the other side in my first term as Member of Parliament, I raised the issue in the Parliament about the fact that there are certain schools that have challenges, but you expect those schools to perform with the same resources and nothing extra.
And it's now time for the Business Minute.
Stationery and Office Supplies Limited has recorded its highest ever quarterly revenues. For the 3 months ended March 2023, the company made $519 million, reflecting an improvement of 22% compared with the corresponding period in 2022. March alone saw the highest monthly revenues the company has achieved to date at $207 million. Stationery and Office Supplies has, however, seen a drop in profit for the quarter. The company made $94 million after tax, down from $104.9 million made for the similar period in 2022. The decline was linked to a $14 million tax expense, which came as a result of the company no longer benefiting from the junior market 5-year tax exemption incentive. The company is now to pay half of the income tax on profits. U.S. consumer sentiment dropped in May, according to a preliminary report from the University of Michigan. This as Americans are worried about the economy and the potential default of the government's debt. Consumer pessimism can impact spending behavior if people decide to tighten their wallets. A separate report shows that's already happening. The New York Fed's Household Spending Survey says monthly household spending decreased by nearly 2% from December to April. And that's it for the Business Minute. I'm Hal Shane Burke.
Time now for the top regional and international stories.
In the region, Grenada's health ministry has reported a significant increase in the number of dengue fever cases. According to the country's acting chief medical officer CMO, Dr. Sean Charles, data for Epidemiology Week 18 ending May 5 indicated that there were 20 reported cases. The CMO advised that while health surveillance officers and vector control intervention resources are deployed, measures are being taken to control further increases as the ministry keeps a close eye on the situation. So far, 8 people have been hospitalized with dengue fever, with 3 being listed as severe. On the international scene, a Chinese court has sentenced a 78-year-old U.S. citizen to life in prison on spying charges. John Xing Wan Leong, a permanent resident in Hong Kong, was jailed this morning. The court gave no further details of the allegations against him. According to a news release from the court, Mr. Leong was previously arrested 2 years ago by a local Bureau of Chinese Counterintelligence Agency. He was found guilty of espionage, sentenced to life imprisonment, and deprived of political rights for life. And at least 13 people are dead after a van collided with the back of a cargo truck on a highway in Tamaulipas in northern Mexico on Sunday. Both vehicles caught fire after colliding. Mexican officials expressed condolences to families of the victims and have pledged support to help relatives as investigation into the cause of the deadly wreck continues. And those are the top regional and international stories. I'm Carrie Simpson.
We head to a quick break. When we come back, Jordan Ford will have your midday sports report.